President Biden's also kickstarting efforts on another campaign promise, a sweeping immigration overhaul. His administration plans to create an 8-year path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, as well as preserve the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA. As Charmaine Nero tells us, the executive actions are delivering hope to Minnesotans seeking citizenship, including so-called dreamers.
I came to the United States when I was 3 years old.
Carolina Ortiz is one of more than 700,000 Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program recipients, also known as Dreamers, in the U.S., now issuing a sigh of relief.
I can definitely tell you that it was just a moment to breathe.
One day after newly sworn in President Joe Biden issued a series of executive orders related to immigration reform, including an end to the Muslim travel ban and a plan to preserve and fortify DACA, which provides temporary relief for dreamers brought to this country as children.
We are really heartened by the fact that the new president has committed to changing our immigration system on day one.
President Biden also introduced the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, new legislation sent to Congress that would provide an 8-year pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants.
The president's priority reflected in the bill are to responsibly manage the border, keep families together, grow our economy, address the root causes of migration from Central America.
The Department of Homeland Security also announced that the Biden administration will halt most deportations for 100 days, but some say it will take bipartisan support and time to reverse administrative changes that happened over the last 4 years.
An investment in resources to roll back changes as quickly as possible, and then to really move forward into progress.
In St. Paul, Charmaine Nero, KARE 11 News.
President Biden also issued an executive order reversing the Trump administration's policy to exclude undocumented immigrants from the U.S. Census.